Opening note. While the author generally appreciates humor and self-deprecation, certain topics demand absolute respect. That is why there is no intro music today. He refuses to use any track whose tone or style might be inappropriate for the gravity of today's discussion.
By Episode 31, Canada's First Nations, History, Truth, and Progress. Hello, and welcome back to By Boost Your English. Today, we begin our deep dive into Canada, starting with the First Nations, the original peoples of this vast country. This is not just a history lesson, it's an essential look at contemporary issues, the ongoing process of reconciliation, and the vocabulary of justice and social change. Our mission is to understand the legacy of colonialism and the steps being taken toward genuine partnership. Let's begin with some crucial terminology. Terminology and geography. In Canada, the term Indigenous peoples refers to the First Nations, the Inuit, who traditionally inhabit the Arctic regions, and the Métis, people of mixed European and First Nations ancestry. Provinces and territories. First Nations communities are found across all provinces and territories of Canada, from the Atlantic to the Pacific and the Arctic. They are not confined to a single region. Reserves. Similar to reservations in the U.S., many First Nations communities live on reserves, which are lands whose title is held by the Crown, the government, for the use and benefit of the specific band, community. The quality of life and access to services on many reserves often lags dramatically behind the rest of Canada, which contributes to major social inequality. The residential schools trauma and reparation. One of the darkest chapters in Canadian history is the system of residential schools. Forced assimilation. These were government-sponsored religious schools established to assimilate Indigenous children into Euro-Canadian culture. Children were forcibly removed from their families, forbidden to speak their languages, and often subjected to physical and sexual abuse. This policy was a deliberate attempt to kill the Indian in the child, resulting in intergenerational trauma. Efforts toward truth and reconciliation. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, TRC, investigated this history and published 94 calls to action in 2015. This has sparked a massive national conversation about reparation and healing. The discovery of unmarked graves at former school sites has intensified the demand for justice and accountability. Legal accountability. Yes, there have been legal efforts. While the focus has largely been on compensation, settlements, for survivors, investigations and legal proceedings are ongoing to hold individuals, administrators, religious figures, accountable for criminal acts committed within these institutions. This process is slow, but the pressure for criminal justice is mounting. Progress and leadership. Despite the immense historical challenges, there are clear signs of progress and Indigenous leadership. Mary Simon, her appointment in 2021 as the first Inuit Governor-General, the representative of the King in Canada, is seen as an extremely significant and potent symbol. It is widely viewed as a major step forward, demonstrating Indigenous representation at the highest level of Canadian government. However, many also note that symbolic progress must be matched by tangible action on reserves and in communities. Social progress. Significant efforts are being directed toward addressing the social determinants of health, including the high rates of substance abuse, alcoholism and drug use. The focus is on community-led initiatives, mental health resources, and restoring cultural practices that were stripped away by colonialism. The key takeaway is that genuine social progress requires self-determination, allowing First Nations to govern themselves and implement their own solutions. New relationships. The overall effort is shifting away from paternalism toward establishing a nation-to-nation relationship, one based on mutual respect, legal recognition of Indigenous rights, and meaningful understanding between peoples. This was a deep and essential conversation. We've covered key terms from residential schools and reconciliation to intergenerational trauma and First Nations reserves. Understanding this history is vital to understanding the entire Canadian social and political landscape today. Thank you for tuning in to By, and I look forward to guiding your English boost in the next episode.
Calibration complete. Initiating the fluent